Hi everybody, Luis Vila, Communications Coordinator for the City of Maricopa. I'm reporting right inside the brand new Sprouts grocery store with the Senior Project Superintendent, Mike Kelly from AR Maze, who's been working on developing and constructing this very grocery store coming to our community in the very near future. Hi Mike, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the construction process and how everything's gone thus far?
It's actually been a real pleasure to work with the City of Maricopa. From the front office to the building inspectors, fire marshal, fire inspectors, it's gone really smoothly. So here in Maricopa, you guys have done a great job, and it's been a great project so far.
And I know some people may be worried that the shelves are empty right now. So when can we expect the actual groceries and everything to be delivered?
The next big step for us here inside the store is going to be to start stocking dry goods. So things are going to start happening real quick.
Okay. Final question. Everyone's really want to know, when is Sprouts going to be open?
Well, I hope you're here the 25th so that you can get your tuna salad.
I will definitely be here, and I hope to see all of you here. For all the latest developments and great things happening with the City of Maricopa, please check out what'snewmaricopa.com. Last week, the City of Maricopa came together for the largest community cleanup campaign in the city's history. Individuals from all walks of life rallied and walked throughout their community, picking up litter in a vow to keep Maricopa beautiful. We received dozens of emails from groups showcasing their efforts to keep Maricopa beautiful by collecting multiple bags of litter during the 2-hour only event. To learn more about the next community cleanup event, please visit keepmaricopabeautiful.com.
Good morning, City of Maricopa. We are standing on the north side of town on State Route 347, which is the main entrance into the City of Maricopa. Over the last few years, we've seen tremendous growth with residential and commercial. As growth continues, it gives us the opportunity to do additional projects, one of which is a landscaping project down the 347. It'll go from Honeycutt Road to the north entries of town. This includes trees, landscaping, rock boulders, some metal art deco. There'll be some lighted metal structures all the way down the median. When you pull into the north side of town, we're going to have an impressive monument right in the middle of the road that represents the City of Maricopa, which has been well needed for many years. This project has been years, maybe even decades in the making, with City Council and citizens' requests and responses to increase the beautification of coming into town. We'd like to thank each one of you for the time, effort, energy, and the patience of getting this done. We look forward to having this project completed by the end of the year.
Hi, good morning. This is Mayor Christian Price and Councilman Rich Vitiello. We are here at the grand opening of the new community center, which hosts a wing for the veterans and also a wing for the seniors, so a senior center, as well as a middle area that is a community center where all types of different things can be hosted, or either of those organizations can overflow into it. This is a very exciting day as the seniors have waited long and hard for a dedicated location where they could come and socialize and play cards and do things and have a location that was truly theirs. And so it's a very special day for them and for the veterans and really for the entire city of Maricopa.
I just also want to thank the past and present councils, city managers, everybody, mayors. I don't want to leave anybody out, council members, but without all that prior, today wouldn't have happened. And as I said earlier, without our veterans, we wouldn't be here today. And again, God bless you and thank you for getting us to where we are and living in this greatest country in the world.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everybody, Luis Villa, Communications Coordinator for the City of Maricopa. I'm reporting right inside the brand new Sprouts grocery store with the Senior Project Superintendent, Mike Kelly from AR Mays, who's been working on developing and constructing this very grocery store coming to our community in the very near future. Hi Mike, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the construction process and how everything's gone thus far?
It's actually been a real pleasure to work with the City of Maricopa. From the front office to the building inspectors, fire marshal, fire inspectors, it's gone really smoothly. So here in Maricopa, you guys have done a great job, and it's been a great project so far.
And I know some people may be worried that the shelves are empty right now. So when can we expect the actual groceries and everything to be delivered?
The next big step for us here inside the store is going to be to start stocking dry goods. So things are going to start happening real quick.
Okay. Final question. Everyone's really want to know, when is Sprouts going to be open?
Well, I hope you're here the 25th so that you can get your tuna salad.
I will definitely be here, and I hope to see all of you here. For all the latest developments and great things happening with the City of Maricopa, please check out what'snewmaricopa.com. Last week, the City of Maricopa came together for the largest community cleanup campaign in the city's history. Individuals from all walks of life rallied and walked throughout their community, picking up litter in a vow to keep Maricopa beautiful. We received dozens of emails from groups showcasing their efforts to keep Maricopa beautiful by collecting multiple bags of litter during the 2-hour-only event. To learn more about the next community cleanup event, please visit keepmaricopabeautiful.com.
Good morning, City of Maricopa. We are standing on the north side of town on State Route 347, which is the main entrance into the City of Maricopa. Over the last few years, we've seen tremendous growth with residential and commercial. As growth continues, it gives us the opportunity to do additional projects, one of which is a landscaping project down the 347. It'll go from Honeycutt Road to the north entries of town. This includes trees, landscaping, rock boulders, some metal art deco. There'll be some lighted metal structures all the way down the median. When you pull into the north side of town, we're going to have an impressive monument right in the middle of the road that represents the city of Maricopa, which has been well needed for many years. This project has been years, maybe even decades in the making, with city council and citizens' requests and responses to increase the beautification of coming into town. We'd like to thank each one of you for the time, effort, energy, and the patience of getting this done. We look forward to having this project completed by the end of the year.
Thank you for being here this evening. I'd like to welcome you to the City Council regular meeting agenda. This is Tuesday, October 5th, 2021. This time I'd like to call the meeting to order, and please invite Pastor Rusty Akers from Community of Hope Church. Please come forward and give us our invocation, after which we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led for us by Vice Mayor Nancy Smith. Please rise.
Will you pray with me? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. God, that's my prayer tonight. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Just be with us tonight in this meeting. Guide our community forward. We pray this in King Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, Pastor Akers. We appreciate it. That'll take us to the roll call.
Councilmember Learman?
Here.
Councilmember Manfredi? Here. Councilmember Marsh?
Here.
Councilmember Vitiello?
Here.
Councilmember Wade?
Here.
Vice Mayor Smith? Here. Mayor Price?
Here.
Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Great. Thank you very much. We have a few proclamations and acknowledgments and awards this evening, so I'm going to head down there for just a moment. First on the agenda this evening is we have a proclamation regarding the National Fire Prevention Week. And so if you're a member of CERT or the fire department, would you come on up here, please? Thanks. Come on up. So whereas the city of Maricopa Arizona is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all who live, work, or visit here, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are locations where people are at greatest risk from fire. According to the National Fire Protection Association, there were more than 330,000 home fires in the United States in 2019, resulting in 2,700 deaths. And whereas smoke alarms sense smoke well before people can, alerting you to danger in the event of a fire in which you may have as little as 2 minutes to escape to safety. And whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half, and Maricopa residents should be sure everyone in the home understands the sounds of the alarms and knows how to respond. And whereas all residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. And whereas Maricopa Fire, Medical, first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas Maricopa residents responsive to public education measures are better able to take personal steps to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes, and whereas the 2021 Fire Prevention Week theme, Learn the Sounds of Fire Safety, effectively serves to remind us it is important to learn the different sounds of smoke and carbon monoxide alarms. Now, therefore, I, Christian Price, Mayor of the City of Maricopa, do hereby proclaim October 3rd through the 9th, 2021 as Fire Prevention Week, and I urge everyone in the City of Maricopa to learn the sounds of fire safety for Fire Prevention Week 2021 and to support the many public safety activities and efforts in our fire and emergency services. Let's give you guys a big round of applause for all they do. Right now, we also have an acknowledgement of a donation by the Maricopa seniors. I'm going to turn the time over to Peg Chapados.
Go get them. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, and fellow neighbors. I'm here tonight to make a couple of big announcements, both of which concern Maricopa Fire and Medical. I also would like to take a minute, because this is coming from Maricopa seniors, so I'd like to take a minute and introduce my board and my advisory board. Vice President Lynn Bernier, Secretary Ron Bernier. We also have with us Joan Kozar, Helen Smith, and 2 other board members who couldn't be with us tonight, Shelley McLaren and Oliver Anderson. Maricopa Seniors really appreciates the relationship that we've had with Maricopa Fire and Medical, primarily to our lockbox program. As of today, we have surpassed 450 lockboxes installed throughout the city in every community and the Heritage District. We couldn't do what we do without our partners like Maricopa Fire and Medical and CERT, and you guys in the community. You have supported our program since day one, so we thank you for that. And because we appreciate what our first responders do, Maricopa Seniors tonight is going to donate 4 video laryngoscopes to Maricopa Fire and Medical. These will improve patient outcomes, make it a little easier on our paramedics, and will have an immediate impact on everyone that we serve here. So on behalf of Maricopa Seniors, the other announcement that I want to make tonight is I've been working very closely as a fire volunteer with our firefighters and with our CERT members. We are going to be creating a nonprofit fundraising organization to advocate and support for Maricopa Fire and Medical and for CERT. It's going to be called Maricopa Firefighters Charities. We are just in the initial stages, but we are looking for our inaugural board. So if you would be interested in serving as part of the creation of this group or on its first board, please see me. We have applications. There'll be an application process. We have a 4-member recruiting committee consisting of myself and personnel from Maricopa Fire and Medical. We're going to vet all of the applications that we receive. The only requirement we have right now is that you're 18 or older. I just made the cutoff, just so you know. Once we get some finalists, we will actually have oral interviews with them to find out a little bit more about them, and then we're going to have anywhere from 5 to 9 board members to start this. The first task that we'll have is the incorporation process, and anybody who's ever done that knows it's a lot of paperwork. Once we get that up and running, then we'll be able to offer some more things to the community, with the community, for the community, and it's all about Maricopa Fire and Medical and CERT. So please join me in giving them a big round of applause for all they do every day. If I may, those of you who don't know them, Maricopa Fire and Medical Chief Brady Leffler, Director of Operations Michael Grant, also Will Sherwood, Captain Wainwright, and we also have with us tonight Tim Gerke, who is the new coordinator for the CERT team. If you're interested in an application, please get a hold of me. My email is pjchoa@msn.com. I also have applications with me tonight. I have some press releases for the media, so hopefully you'll see more information about that. You've got till November 19th to apply, so please consider this. And if you know of somebody you think would be a good member for this organization, please share that information with them. Again, Mayor, thank you. Council, thank you. Maricopa Fire and Medical and CERT, thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. You're awesome.
Thanks, sir.
Great job. Great job.
All right. At this time, I have another proclamation at this time, which we'd like to talk a little bit about domestic violence. Tori, would you like to come up? Absolutely. I was just going to say, please, anyone else who's here for domestic violence proclamation, would you please come forward? Thank you.
It's more than just me.
Absolutely it is. And we have our purple on, which is great. Congratulations. See, I've planned ahead. So, whereas domestic violence is prevalent throughout Maricopa City and the state, and more than 96 people lost their lives due to domestic violence in Arizona in 2019, and 73 deaths in 2020 through August 31st occurring within the state of Arizona. And whereas Maricopa Police Department, Victim Services Unit, and Maricopa Family Advocacy Center assisted 488 distinct victims of domestic and family violence in 2019 in the city of Maricopa. And whereas every 44 minutes in Arizona, one or more children witness domestic violence, and up to 60% of perpetrators of intimate partner violence also abuse their children, according to an Arizona Department of Health Services report. Whereas 71% of domestic violence victims report their abuser has also targeted their pets. And whereas the trauma and suffering caused by domestic violence destroys families, threatens the safety of neighborhoods, and weakens the ability of communities to thrive. And whereas the city of Maricopa works collaboratively with community agencies to effectively address, prevent, and eradicate domestic violence. And whereas the city of Maricopa is dedicated to ensuring the safety of domestic violence survivors and holding abusers accountable. Now, therefore, I, Christian Price, Mayor of the city of Maricopa, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2021 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the city of Maricopa. And I know that the pandemic, unfortunately, has made this significantly worse, which is terribly unfortunate, and so it is something that I think it requires all of us to be on the lookout for and to do our best to eradicate. So let's give these guys a huge round of applause for all they do.
He's taking a picture right
Picture, there we go. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it. All right, Council, would you come down, please? No crying. That's right. All right. Well, could we have Brett Roberts come on up? Come on up, Brett. You gotta come stand over here. So, as you know, Brett Roberts has been a constable here in the city of Maricopa, an elected constable, as well as most recently elected to the Arizona House of Representatives. And unfortunately, Brett's life has taken a different turn with his family, and he is moving to South Carolina. And as much as I'm excited for him to do that, I really think that he sucks because we wanted him to stick around here. But at the end of the day, we really wanted to take just a few moments to say thank you. You know, a few years ago, Vince Manfredi, Councilman Manfredi, and I had this great idea to con Brett into going to the Arizona State Legislature and representing us. And, you know, he bought it hook, line, and sinker, and we really appreciate him doing it. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, you know, he has the last laugh because he's the one that had to sit through all this and go through it. But we certainly appreciate all that you did, and more than anything, did so on our behalf. So I just want to say on behalf of the city of Maricopa, I want to extend our gratitude for your advocacy for us at the state capitol, especially in obtaining, and remember this, obtaining the funding for the Riggs Road overpass, $35 million. Now, we know this was a multi-year effort and not at all easy, and so as a token of our appreciation, I wanted to, and we wanted to, give you something that we created for you here, and this is, as far as I know, our very first key to the city that we have ever given out. There have been other keys to the city for other things, but this is the first one we've ever given out. Mike Riggs and his group made this, and so this is for you.
make no promises. Well, let me first of all say it's been a pleasure serving Maricopa over the past, 7 years in my two capacities. As far as the Riggs Road overpass funding, I just want to say that even though my name was on the bill and it was over 2 years, I spent many phone calls with Mayor Price, with Dale and Todd. Dale and Todd was in my office, a regularly scheduled meeting once a week. Not only was I on the phone with them, but I have to give thanks to the citizens of Maricopa as well, because this was not by any means my own task. There was a team of us, and when we reached out to the public and asked the public to contact the rest of the legislature and let them know how important this was, the public actually responded, and I got feedback up there at the House that was significant, and it was definitely a factor. So I want to thank everybody. It was by no means my own effort. I mean, I'll toot my own horn. I was there, and I was at every meeting, but it was definitely an effort that we all came together. We all understood the importance of that intersection. For whatever reason it is, it's the most problematic on 347, and so it's one of a three-legged stool that has to be done as far as the overpass, the widening, the I-10 interchange. I'm happy that I was able to accomplish it, and I will definitely be watching from afar. Maybe I'll even come back once it's built. So I would like to attend the ceremony when it's opened. So I want to say thank you to everybody, to Mayor Price, to Todd and Dale, for all of their efforts. You know, like I said, we spent many a time on the phone, in meetings with ADOT, with the speaker, things of that nature. So thank you very much. I appreciate this very much. It'll be cherished.
All right, thank you very much for your participation in those events thus far. And at this time, we'd like to move to item 4, which is the report from the mayor and council. So council, I'll turn the time over to you. We'll start with Councilmember Bob Marsh and move down the dais this way.
Hi there. I've had a busy couple of weeks since the last council meeting. On Wednesday, September 22nd, I attended the Maricopa Arts Council starring Judith Simont. And then that was followed up by a Parks, Rec, and Library Committee meeting led by Tina Dugan. Both of those sessions were very interesting. On the morning of September 23rd, I attended the Morning Scoop that's put on statewide online, where you get updated on what's really going on in our state capital. On the 25th, Saturday, was a big event. I was a judge for the salsa contest at the Salsa Night Market. Now, I got introduced to salsa 50 years ago when I moved to Arizona, and I've been a salsa fan ever since. This contest almost drove it out of me. They were so hot. But the right salsa won, and a very deserving young man. And I'm still having salsa for breakfast every morning. On the 27th, Monday, Planning and Zoning Commission held a very interesting meeting at Copper Sky, where around 50 residents from a subdivision in Stanfield protested the threat of a new subdivision coming in across the street from them. It'll be something to follow up on the next P&Z meeting. On the 28th, Tuesday, I attended a Greater Phoenix Economic Council meeting where they talked about talent acquisition and retention. and I understand the City of Maricopa has hired a new talent acquisition and retention professional. On October 1st, Friday, I'm on the board of the Pinal County Water Augmentation Authority, and we held an emergency meeting where we accepted the offer to take control of a several $1 million or several tens of millions of dollars worth of water coming to the valley. On the 4th, Monday, I attended the Maricopa Historical Society. When I signed up as a member, I thought it said Hysterical Society. But they had the hippest historian in Arizona present, and it was a very interesting hour. I learned a lot about Arizona that night, and I've lived here since 1971, on and off. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Marsh. Okay, Councilmember Manfredi.
I usually don't say stuff, but I gotta say, I laughed my tail off when Amber was eating the salsa at the salsa festival. It was the funniest thing. She's standing in the corner, jumping up and down, eating the hot salsa. And she was taking big scoops, and I'm like, hey, you just gotta take a little bit and taste it. She's like, no, I gotta do my job. And, so that was the salsa festival. But we also, I was working at the salsa festival too, not as a council member, but I was working at my other job. And we did what was called a Death Nut Challenge. And next year we're doing a pencil in the eye challenge, I think it's going to be called, because these people ate these nuts that got progressively hotter until I thought some of them were going to die. But anyway, so it was a fun and exciting salsa festival, and I love the fact we moved it till September from March. So if Nathan's over there, I think it's a successful experiment, and I think we should leave it in September. There's a bunch of other meetings and stuff, but I think that was the most fun stuff and stuff that makes people laugh. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor.
So tonight, I'm going to tell you about a few things, but my most exciting piece of information that I have to share with you is a very special person that is sitting in this room up here at this dais, and I just can't wait any longer for it to be announced. But let me tell you a little bit about it. There is a Doty London Excellence in Public Service series. And it's been in existence since 2007, and it basically is a competitive application process where women in the state of Arizona actually apply for a valued at $10,000 educational series on how to have excellence in public service. And so far to date, since 2007, 160 women have graduated from this experience. Starts in October, ends in, I'm going to say January, but she can correct me if I'm wrong. And 160 women have graduated, and very few, a handful, from Pinal County. Well, during this year's application process, hundreds of women applied. They selected 12. Only one from Pinal County was selected. And so I am honored to tell you that our own Councilwoman Amber Learman was selected 1 in 12 out of hundreds to participate in this. That's exciting, and I'm looking forward to her. I said, you got to bring me all the scoops so that I can stay in touch with what you're learning. It's going to be exciting. Also today, this month actually, the month of October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and as you all know, I am a breast cancer survivor, and so I love celebrating this month. And so for anyone in the audience, I have this really special container of pink mints. That's the color for breast cancer. And if you know somebody who has suffered with breast cancer, who is a breast cancer survivor, currently experiencing breast cancer and going through treatment, I have a whole container of these with Carol back there, and I want you to grab one, grab it now, grab it later, grab it as you go out, and take one and really, really just surprise these people, these women. Men can get it as well, so if you know a man, I'm sorry, it's a picture of a woman on front, but take one to him. If you know somebody who has suffered from breast cancer treatment. And so make sure you pick one of these up if you know somebody. It'll just bless their heart. You would also think, with everything that happens in October, that it's also Art Appreciation Month, but it's not. But I can't help but tell you about some cool things happening in October. If you are one of those people, I have a friend at church, he's actually part of the worship team. He tells me all the time, he's only lived in Maricopa about a year. He's like, there's nothing to do here. And I'm like, what are you, nuts? And so every time I see something, because he's an artist, right? Every time I see something that deals with art, I tag him, here you go, here you go. And every Sunday I'm like, which one of those did you take up? Like, which one of those did you go to? So there is a plethora of art events going on. I attended the Artist Town Hall, which is an informational session for artists, where we talk about how to grow arts in the city of Maricopa. We have a wonderful, wonderful group of a whole variety of artists, and art can be such an economic advantage to a city. And so we always have to find ways to make art just really, really excel here. On October 12th, at our new community center, which used to be the old library from 5 to 7, is an art exhibition of, now I think we're at 18, 19 artists who are local here, who are going to first, at 4 o'clock, be showing their art to the Exceptional Community Hospital, which has said and indicated that they want to buy at least 9 pieces from these local artists to put on their walls in their hospital. So the art. But then from 5 to 7, it's a free event. Please come, take a tour, look at these 18, 19, and it might grow to a little bit more artists who do art in the city of Maricopa. It's free over at the community center. And then we also have a Maricopa Friends of the Arts, which is a new organization. Their meeting is October 13th at 5:30 at the library. We have a poetry slam. If you've never been to a poetry slam, let me tell you, I've been to every single one of them. What a hoot. If you just want to go and see some very diverse people with some very diverse topics, it's a really exciting event to go to. It'll be at Honeycut Coffee at 6 o'clock. And then the senior lunch and learn this time, a really good one, Medicare, for anyone who's trying to understand. And let me tell you, I always say, my husband and I, we think we're pretty smart people, but when he had to sign up for Medicare, it was like, what the heck? And so it can be a really complicated subject, and our speaker at this month's Lunch and Learn will try to help simplify it for you. So a lot going on. Please don't ever tell me, unless you want me to bug the heck out of you, that there's nothing to do in the city of Maricopa. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we go to Councilmember Wade, Councilmember Manfredi asked for one more thing.
I apologize, and I forgot something. It's really important. Thankfully, Brett's gone because it's an emotional time. You guys are losing a representative for LD11. So am I, but I'm losing probably my best friend. So with Brett leaving, I just wanted to take a moment to explain some of the stuff. And he'll never take credit. He'll never trot his own horn for it like he just made fun with. But the work that he did and the stress that was involved in getting that overpass over the 347, I gotta say, probably contributed to, it's time to go. He won't admit that, but it was a lot of work, a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, a lot of pushing. And when you go to the state legislature, it's not a game. It's a lot of hard work, and it takes a toll. Sadly, as I said, I'm losing a very good friend, but I'm also losing a friend and a partner when it comes to education. And a lot of people don't put, the Republican legislature in high esteem when it comes to education in the state of Arizona. And with Brett, whether Republican, Democrat, it just didn't matter because he understood education and how important it was. Without him, there's no way we pass an override back in 2016 and the hard work that he put in. Without him, there's no way we get the extra money that we needed through the School Facilities Board to make that high school that we're building today what it is. Because it was basically going to be a bare bones high school until he fought tooth and nail to get more money from the State Facilities Board and put pressure on them weekly, daily, phone calls, emails to readjust and figure out better ways to get money for this district. So for me, as I said, it's not just losing a guy that's, a legislator. It's losing a very good friend. It's losing a stalwart fighter for the city of Maricopa and making sure that it got what it needed, both for education, for transportation, and everything else that he did up there. So hopefully we can convince him to come back one day. But we'll see. I'm working on it.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Wade.
Thank you. Thank you. That was very good, Vince. Thank you. I want to acknowledge a community member as well, and many different meetings and what have you. That's just part of our job that we do. But one of the things that's very important is how we encourage people to participate in what's going on in the city of Maricopa, how they do good deeds, how they do good work, and then they don't ask for anything in return. And unfortunately, here this past week, we lost a community member that was just that person that never asked, but was there for her group, brought a national recognition to our community, gave children an opportunity to feel good about themselves and the things that they do for themselves, gave community members to feel like they were a part of a family as well, even when they weren't even associated with some of the things they did. I'm talking about Beth Mandel. And I was so pleased to see the turnout Saturday to recognize and acknowledge Beth. We wear these purple shirts today because we're acknowledging and making aware domestic violence. Beth taught her kids to be strong, push away from things such as that. And she taught us the same thing as well as community members. And I just, again, want to acknowledge her, want to acknowledge those that attended her service on Saturday. And I want Beth to know that whatever I need to do, work hard for her group, I'm going to do that. Because Beth deserved it, and the efforts that she shows every day with her young ladies and men deserve it. Beth was Maricopa, y'all. Beth was Maricopa. When people say, I love this town, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about Beth.
Councilmember, appreciate it. Councilmember Learman.
I agree with Councilmember Wade. I have many students that are a part of Beth's group, and I know that they are significantly impacted by her loss, and so I agree with honoring her and respecting her tonight. And I want to thank Vice Mayor Smith for acknowledging my acceptance into the Doty London training program. I am very excited to represent Pinal County in this program. It does start this month and it ends in May, and it ends with a week in Washington, D.C., and I'm really looking forward to that. And I do admit to doing a new type of salsa dance. There was tears and runny nose and milk and many other things to get me through that. But it was a wonderful experience and I had a lot of fun. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. I appreciate it. I hope somebody got that on video. I really do. Well, we're gonna reenact it or something. So. That's a blooper reel waiting to happen. Just very briefly here, again, I would echo Councilmember Wade's sentiments on Beth Mundell. As you may or may not remember, we featured her actually in our Overcoming Obstacles State of the City we did a few years back and showcased her business and what she had gone through and all the things. And so, it was only appropriate that Saturday night we were able to honor her accordingly. So we certainly miss her in our community, but she is a key part of who we are, and she'll have a special place in our heart always. At this time, also just wanted to remind you very quickly that on Wednesday, October 20th, is this year's State of the City. We encourage you to come. If you're not already registered, I would encourage you to do so. We are quickly approaching capacity, which is very exciting, but we have some extra capacity worked in there, and so we can, it's not too late if you haven't RSVP'd thus far, but I certainly hope you will. And, just so you know, we currently have somewhere in the neighborhood of roughly 500 RSVPs. So that's pretty exciting. So I think that number is going to continue to grow over the next 2 weeks. So hope you'll come out and have a good time. And with that, I think that concludes our reports unless Councilmember Vitiello has anything. Okay, not hearing anything from Councilmember Vitiello. That'll move us to the report from the city manager at this time.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of quick items tonight. I'd like to introduce 2 new staff members. Our second newest staff member, who began yesterday, is Quinn Canoid, sitting in the very back. He's coming on board as our digital communications manager. He comes from the San Diego market, where I believe he was a news producer, correct? Yeah, so he has a lot of experience, and it will help us as we elevate our imaging and advertisements and public communications. We're grateful to have him on board. You'll be seeing a lot of him as you go forward. And I also want to introduce our newest employee, whose first day is today, Ben Bitter. Some of you know Ben. Ben, actually, his last program was last night, making a presentation for the town of Florence at their city council meeting, so he gets 2 nights back to back. I should have had him do a presentation tonight of a couple hours. As you know, Ben comes to us from the town of Florence, but worked in Casa Grande and actually had a stint as a city manager up in Kentucky during a part of his career. We're grateful to have him on our staff. He will be our Director of Engineering and CIP Development. So I just wanted to make those quick introductions. And thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, City Manager. Appreciate it. All right, well, that'll take us to item number 6, which is the call to the public. At this time, I have 3 speaker cards. And first, I'll just go in those orders. And then after that, anyone else who wishes to approach the podium may do so. First and foremost, I'd like to invite Tori Anderson to please come forward. And for a minute there, I thought Tori filled out all the speaker cards, but only 2 of them tonight. I'm just kidding.
I took
Tori.
all of them from outside.
Okay, all right.
Just kept going at it.
I can just email you some, you know.
I've missed you so much, I got to take up your whole time, right?
Time is
2 items that I wanted to speak on, so I'll do them each separate so that people don't get confused. But the first is, I am here at this moment representing Against Abuse Incorporated. And we are the domestic violence social services program in Pinal County. And we have been here providing safety and advocacy for victims of domestic violence, families, men, women, children, and also sexual assault since 1981. So some of the things that we actually take care of are we have a large wheelhouse, and I just wanted to make the public aware of what we do. We not only provide crisis shelter, which one of those we do have in Maricopa, and the gala has been able to build that building and keep it going, but we also provide mobile and community-based services. So, and that became very important, especially during COVID, that we had limited spaces in our shelters because of social distancing. And so we were able to get some hotel space, and we had mobile services that were able to make sure our victims were getting the services and the support that they needed. So that was very important, especially during COVID. And I'm proud of the fact that we were able to set that up even before COVID hit. So we were set and ready to go with the mobile services. As we know, some victims do like to stay home when it is safe. And so we acknowledge that, and we just make sure that they've got the support and services that they do need. We also provide transitional housing. So when you come into shelter, or maybe you need to leave your home, we provide transitional housing. So that is a big step for families, because then their rent is paid on a sliding scale based on their employment. And so it is very important for them to learn to be independent. And we feel that's an important step to part of their recovery and regaining their self-esteem. We also do rapid rehousing for those that need a place to live immediately. So that's another service that we've started to provide. We have supervised visitation, which is a service that we provide in Casa Grande, and we work with Maricopa County, Pima County. But that is for families who are required by court, or even because they know that they just don't get along, mom and dad, when they're divorced, but the court says you've got to have shared custody. We provide a safe place for them to handle that visitation. And so we have monitors that are in the building that make sure that the child is not re-victimized, and one parent comes in the front and the other parent comes in the back, so that the parents don't have to see each other. And we found that this was extremely important at the time, because there were so many instances of women and families being victimized, even in the police department's parking lot, because you think that's a safe place to exchange children. And sometimes it's not, because the building is not always manned. So we felt that that was very important for us to put that service in. And we're proud of the way that it's expanded. Some of our families actually choose to use the service, and many of our judges direct them to use the service because they know it's important. We also work with the prisons when they have to reintegrate family members with their children. And so I think it's a great program for our community. We also have an animal safe network, which we provide for those, so we take away all the barriers from having to go into shelter, which we feel is important. And bottom, we also have a thrift shop, and a lot of people don't know that. The thrift shop currently is in Casa Grande. Yes, we're working on trying to get one in Maricopa, but rent is a little steep sometimes, but we're working on it. But we do have a moving truck that comes to Maricopa once a month, and they pick up everything, and we'll take it. The women in the shelter and in our services do get first pick. They get to figure out what they need. And then what's left over, we sell in the thrift shop, which is nice because then that money goes back into our services and our programs. So it really does come full circle. We are a 501c3, so any donations you make through the thrift shop or anything else, they are tax deductible. We do give tax receipts for that. And so I just wanted to make sure you knew that those services were out there. We also have a 24-hour live person crisis line. 7 days a week. And anybody can call and talk to an advocate, and sometimes you just need to kind of de-escalate the situation and kind of get a plan going. And I wanted the public to know what that number is because a lot of people don't know that we provide that service, and sometimes that's really all you need. And that number is 520-836-0858. And there is a live person 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So there is a way to call, and I know our police officers also put them in contact when they need to talk to somebody. So those services are there, and I just want to make sure that everybody knows that we appreciate the community. I am in love with this community, grew up here, and so anytime I can see it grow and become better, it makes me more proud of who we are as being citizens of Maricopa. So thank you. Just wanted to put that out there. Okay, now I'm going to put my other shift hat on here. I also serve on the Maricopa Unified School District Governing Board. Before that, I was a teacher. All of my children have gone through the school system. My husband and I are also graduates of the Maricopa school system, so we are very much embedded in the success of our community. And we feel that begins in the classroom. And I know that when I was teaching, and even when my children were in school early on, the classrooms were crowded, and that affects student achievement. So when I came on the board, when I retired from teaching, I decided I wanted to serve on the school board and create a bigger impact through policy. And part of that was identifying why our student achievement was not as high as it should be. And we identified 3 things. We need to reduce our class sizes, we need to retain our teachers, and we need to have an alternative learning program for those students who don't fit into high school. Not everybody fits into the high school landscape. And so in order for our students to create success and to believe in themselves, I was pushing for this 12 years ago before I was on the board, an alternative learning program, which is our RAM Academy. And I am so proud that we were able to put that in through this override. So I am asking you to please vote yes. It's a mail-in ballot. You'll have to get it in the mail. You should receive it sometime this week. They drop tomorrow, which means you should get it Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. Please fill it out with a yes vote because this is not a new tax, but this money will impact these students in your community and help them to be successful. The money goes directly to just those 3 things. We cannot add anything else to that by law. And as a school board member, I am extremely strict on making sure that when we say we're going to spend money somewhere, that it only goes to that place. So it's only going to technology, which is how we got through COVID. Thank goodness we were able to invest in that. But that also helps our teachers because our teachers are able to talk to each other electronically. It helped build RAM Academy, which I'm extremely proud of. It is a program where kids can go in the afternoon. It starts at 2:30 in the afternoon, it goes to the evening, and it goes 4 days a week. So for those students who have children or they don't fit in, we need this program and we need this override to continue that program. And lastly, it goes to hiring teachers. When we did in 16, we hired 55 additional teachers to reduce our class sizes. That is what shot our student achievement up. And I hear every day, how do you know it's working? Well, I know it's working because first our teachers are happy, we've retained them, our student achievement is up, and most importantly, our graduation rates are up. That's what it's about. So I'm asking you to please vote yes. If you have any questions, you can certainly email me at my school email, which is torianderson@musd20.org, or my home email. It doesn't matter to me if it's about against abuse or the school, and it is torilanderson@gmail.com. So thank you for your time. I appreciate what you do, and I do love where I live. So thank you.
Thank you, Tori. The next speaker card I have is for Edward Michael.
Good evening, Mayor Price, Vice Mayor Smith, Vince, Bob, and Amber, and Rich, if you're out there, and Henry. Henry and I have been up here talking about this, and I'm going to back up what Tori talked about. I'm on the committee for the override, and as you know, the proposition is 457, and it's a 10% override for the Maricopa School District. It is a mail-in ballot only. If you are a registered voter for the Maricopa School District, you will receive a ballot. Don't put any other adjective in there. If you are a registered voter, don't put early, anything like that, registered voter, that's all you need to know. I don't know how many questions I saw online on that. The ballots will start being mailed October the 6th. In my discussion with the Pinal County Clerk's Office, they have confirmed that if you're a registered voter for the Maricopa School District, you'll get a ballot. The Vote Yes Committee recommends that you mail the ballots prior to October the 26th, 2021. However, ballots will be accepted if postmarked November 2nd or earlier. A secure drop box is located at the county complex, Building 100 Administration, 19955 Wilson Avenue, Maricopa, Arizona. The box is located outside of the building to the left of the main entrance. I have been asked by individuals at the county complex to make clear where the box is. It's at Building 100 Administration. Now that's remedial for you people. That means slow. Okay? The drop box is outside the building. There's only one question to answer on the ballot. The question is, as it appears, Proposition 47, a 10% maintenance and operation budget override. This is not a new tax. This is not an increase in taxes. This is a continuation of the current override. I repeat, not a new tax, not an increase in taxes, a continuation of the 10% maintenance and operation budget override. Thankfully, somebody paid for my education from 1945 to 1958 when I was attending 1st through 12th grade. Do the math and I'll explain it later. A couple people on the dais know that I was raised in an orphanage. Prior to being placed in that orphanage, my life was a mess. So I know, girls, just what kids go through. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. I've been through that maintenance. Okay, so I know what you're going through with these kids. Okay. One person might have heard of the orphanage I was in. I don't know if Councilmember Vitiello, from being from Dayton, if you remember it, Councilmember, but it is. I think you might know the Ohio Soldiers and Sailors Orphans Home. You were in Dayton and worked for, I think it was Huffy, if I'm not mistaken. Well, while I was in the orphanage, I had 3 squares, clothes on my back, a roof over my head, and an outstanding education with a trade. I was a machinist, and I can still cut threads on a lathe today, and I'm 82. The citizens of Ohio paid for my upkeep. In a class I had for Woody Hayes at the Ohio State University, he taught me one thing, and I'll always remember it. Woody taught me in 1958 to pay it forward. I'm asking the citizens of this community to pay it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ed.
That concludes the speaker cards I have at this moment. Anyone else like to approach the podium? Please.
Exciting stuff. I've been a council member for 7 years. 7 years. I've been in part of government and doing stuff in the city for, holy crap, 12 years or so, running around doing things. When this guy first ran for mayor, jumping in and helping out. And this is the first time ever I did a call to the public. Ever. Never did it. But there's an important reason to do it today. And it's important because, you know, Ed just spoke a little bit and Tori spoke a little bit before him. And I've been talking to tons of people about this. And it is our override. And when I talk about our override, I talk about it passionately. Because when I was talking to Steve Chestnut 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago, I don't know if many of you know, I was very opposed to overrides. For 7 years, I worked to defeat them hard. And if I work on an election, it usually wins or loses, depending how I want it to go. I work hard. But I was talking to Steve, and I said, Steve, let's sit down and go over our budget. So we went over our budget, and we sat there, and we went line by line. We spent hours upon hours. We did red lines, and I looked at our budget, and I said, holy crap, we got some problems. And then I said, how do we solve these problems? And Steve said to me 2 things. We need more teachers and we need more technology. I have teachers in the classroom today with computers that are 10 years old. Imagine that. 10-year-old computer. I mean, I have one at home, but I just surf the internet on it sometimes. But yeah, and I sat there and I was like, all right, so let's do it. So that was 2000 and, what was that? 14, 15, right? We passed our override in 2016. I spent about 1.5 years on this thing. Weekly meetings, talking to people, fighting with people, losing friends, making enemies. Yeah, it was a fun and exciting time. Sometimes around 2016 in November, we passed our override. One of the most important things that the override gave us, as Tori mentioned, is our secondary high school called Ram Academy. I was a Ram Academy student as a kid. I had 3 freshman years in high school, and yeah, I didn't like school. If Ram Academy existed, I'd probably graduate on time. Because Ram Academy, what it does is it takes kids like me that have no interest in school. 0. No interest. And it helps them to continue their life. It helps them get that diploma. Because as you know, without a diploma, your life is probably not going to take the right path. Not always, but it's probably not going to take the right path. So we kept kids in school. At a graduation ceremony 2 years ago, I got to shake the hands of a kid. And this kid told me all the time how his father, not his father, I don't want to say bad things, right? But his family always looked down on him. Because his grades sucked. Sorry, no cursing. His grades were not good. He was absent from school a lot. He wasn't doing well. He was behind. He wasn't going to graduate. He wasn't going to get his diploma. And then Ram Academy opened. And he got to attend. He got to attend and he got to graduate. So at that graduation, I got to shake his hand. I got to give him a hug, a really big hug. And I got to see the pride on his parents, his brothers, his sisters' faces, his aunts, his uncles. He probably had more people at that graduation than my family had for my daughter, because they graduate at the same time. And if you don't know, we bring a lot of people. They fly in from Jersey for my kids' graduations because they understand how important it is. I was the only kid in my family to ever graduate high school. I have two sisters and a brother, and I have a father, a mother, none of them. My father dropped out in 5th grade. 5th grade. That's as far as he went. So when I look at it, school is very important. So you can say Republican, you can say taxes, you can say Democrat, you can say it's a Democrat issue. You can say whatever you want. School is number one when you talk about how you lead a good life. So I keep getting messages on Facebook. Some of them are going to burn my house down, all those good things, because I push for an override. But one of them really confuses me. It says, what did we get from the last override? Higher standardized test scores? Student satisfaction? The taxpayer money was paid. What did we get for the money? I've told this person 17 times, if not more, what we got for the money. So I'm going to tell everybody what we got for the money. It's simple. We got about 70 teachers. Tori mentioned 55. But the override provides money every year. So throughout 2016 to 2021, we hired about 70 teachers with override money. About 8,000 computers for every student in our school system. Every single student has a computer. We bought new technology for classrooms. That is technology as simple as a computer for a teacher who was sitting there with a 10-year-old computer that took 20 minutes to boot up. Imagine it. We put into the classrooms interactive boards so they can teach students the right way, the way they learn today. Faster. We put more classroom technology in, and we built an alternative high school right on the property for the current high school, which, by the way, is way overpacked, but I digress. That's a different story. All right? So what did we get? We got that. What does that produce? Simple. Tori, I own a business that does news and media, right? And I was talking to my publisher, and he said, because I had a little article I put out, and at the end of the article I said that that the graduation rate rose. And he said, dude, that's burying the lead. I don't know what the hell that means. Now I don't. Now I do. Because what we got is simple. Our graduation rates increased from 69% to over 80% this year. 2016, 69%. That means 31% of our kids were not graduating. Sorry, I'm yelling. I'm sorry. I apologize. Lower class sizes. Our classes have dropped from over 30 kids. Imagine 30 kindergarten kids in a class. Picture it in your head. I coach T-ball, which means you have 12 to 14, 5 to 7-year-olds. No, not a good situation. I call it herding cats. They do everything from grabbing your butt to pulling down their pants and running to third base when they think they got a hit. It's the worst thing you can ever imagine. Imagine 30 of them in a classroom with you for 8 hours. Imagine that. So we've been able to reduce those class sizes. We've been able to get higher scores for reading. So if you take a kid in 4th grade in 2016, simple as that. 2016, right? 4th grade means 4 years ago. With the override in place from when they got into kindergarten 4 years ago to today, the 4th grade reading scores are up. That's the override. That's what it does. So when people tell me it's just throwing good money after bad and all that stuff, and they tell me you're not a real Republican, you're a rhino, because I support education. I laugh and I say, no, I'm a realist. I'm a person that understands that without proper education, you cannot have a proper civilization. It's that simple. And when you look at the crap we go through over the last 5 or 10 years, and you say, how did that happen? Easy. We have too many people that are uneducated in this country. We have too many people that would just push through. We have too many people that graduated high school and can't read. We have too many people that do not understand the importance of education. So it's simple. When you see a problem, trace it back. it runs with education. Either education from a family or institutional education from a district. There's a problem, and it has to be solved. The way to solve it is local control of education. The localist control you have is your freaking override. The state doesn't touch it. The county touches it by collecting it, but gives it directly back to the city. And not the city, sorry, directly back to the district. And the district spends it the way we tell them to. Because when we pass an override, it's for three things. Teachers, technology. It's really only two. The alternative high school is the third, but that's because of teachers. So, failure to pass an override this year, a continuation of the current override in place, here's your consequences. And I hate them. Next year, you'll have less teachers. But we won't lose them all, we'll lose some. Because the override will start to dissipate over the next 2 years. The year after that, more teachers. 3 years from now, we'll be at 70 teachers less than we have today. But we're going to have a hell of a lot more kids. Because we're building houses like there's no tomorrow. So understand, this is not about Republican, this is not about taxes, this is not about Democrats, this is not about liberals or progressives, this is not about anything like that. This is about how we want our community to survive. And our community only survives with the proper education of our students. So when you see me online and I'm fighting with someone, I'm getting kind of passionate at times, and I'm yelling at them or something, understand where the frustration lies. I worked my tail off to pass this override 4 years ago. I'm working my tail off today to pass the override. A month and a half ago, I was in the hospital with a pretty serious thing. And I got out of the hospital, and I was like, all right, it came time to put signs up for the override. So I said, shit, I gotta go, oh, sorry. I said, poop, I gotta get out and put up signs. Don't tell my wife, I said. But unfortunately, she found out, because that night I was back in the hospital. Because I pounded way too many signs, and I put too many signs up. It is a passionate thing for me. Education is passion for me. And when I talked earlier about Brett, and I think my 3 minutes is up, but thank you. When I talked a little bit earlier about Brett received a 98% conservative rating for the state of Arizona. You know what that means? They love him, conservatives. He votes conservative on 98% of the time. The highest rating of any legislator in the state of Arizona for conservatives, in the House as well as the Senate. Without him in 2016, we don't pass the override. Because when I was out at 3 in the morning hanging signs, or 7 in the morning, or 6 at night knocking on doors, he was next to me. And we worked hard. I would say 30, 40 hours a week to pass that override. Because it failed 60-40. It failed 58. What's the other number? 42. I told you, 3 years of freshman year. I'm a college graduate now, just so you know. But I did 3 years of freshman in high school. We were out there pushing, because we understand education. We understand the impact it plays on your community, on your property values, on your crime rates, everything. This is not about throwing good money after bad. This is not about just give some kids. It's not about it's for the kids. You know, it's not that. It's about our community and the community we want to give to our children as we move on. I hope that makes sense. This is a recording, I think, he put my alarm on. I got 138 left. This is recorded. It's on YouTube. Take it. Show it to friends and family. Please understand this has nothing to do with partisan politics. This has to do with education and how important it plays a role in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Many of you know that I serve as a counselor at the school district, and this is my 18th school year at Maricopa Unified School District. And I want to share with you that we currently have 25 counselors Prior to the override, we had half that amount of counselors. Prior to the override, my day pretty much looked like me driving from school to school to school to school the whole day because kids were in crisis and there were not enough counselors to address the needs of those students. So I would be at one school and I would get a call, I need you to go to this school. Currently, I work at Maricopa High School full-time, over 40 hours a week. And these are what my conversations are like. Ms. Lerman, can I talk to you about ways that I can talk to my parents about how I feel? Can I talk to you about my dad died of COVID and I miss him and I can't concentrate in science? I'm building relationships with students and they trust me and I'm actually there for them when they come to my office. Prior to COVID, my door would be closed and no one knew where I was because I was driving around the school district trying to help students that were in crisis. The override makes a huge difference. Because of COVID, a lot of our students are experiencing anxiety, panic attacks, and significant grief issues. A lot of our students have had family members and very close people that they love that they have lost. A lot of our students, their parents have lost jobs and their lives have changed significantly. So I too ask that you would support the override and support our students who need help with lower class sizes and increased support in mental health. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Three things: technology, smaller class sizes, support to RAM Academy. That's what the override is about. Support to RAM Academy, smaller schools or class sizes, and more technology. That's it. And as was presented to you already at length, was that. Three things: technology, RAM Academy, smaller class sizes. That's all that we're asking to continue where we are so our students can continue to be successful. You know, how many of you remember back in the day, and I had to qualify that because there's many age groups here, what the day means. For me, back in the day, means 70s and 60s and 70s. Remember when you got in trouble at school? And by the time you got home, your parents knew it? Because Miss Elliott told Miss Johnson, who told Miss Simpson that you had been bad in school, and when you got home, they had already taken care of it. Your mother didn't have to do anything to you that time. Remember when Johnny got in trouble, and your mother made sure that he had a place to stay, and a place to eat, and a place to take care of himself? Why would you do that? Why would she do that? Because it was community. And I spoke earlier about community. And this is what this is all about. This is not about money. It's about community and being the best community we can be. We have been fortunate over the last 5 years, I think 5.5 years, to have Dr. Lopman leading this ship. Because there were many people who were moving into Maricopa who were being told that Maricopa Unified School District was not very good. It was trash. And the first thing I said to Dr. Lopman when I met her is, let's stop the buses. So when I got an opportunity to participate with this program, the last time, 2016, this time as well, and I applaud my fellow council members for standing up. I'm very proud that every one of our council members are standing up. Technology, smaller class sizes, RAM Academy. Remember, that's what this is about. Truly what it's about is our students and what kind of people we want them to be. Do we want them to be the kind of people that turn their back on people when it's time for them to need them? Or do we want people who will stand up? I'm going with the stand-up guys and girls.
Thank you, Councilman.
All right, this is not my first time during Call to the Public, but this is my first time speaking boldly about this MUSD override. And I can tell you why. Many know that I'm a conservative in terms of finances, conservative in terms of taxes, and for the majority of past overrides, except for the last one that passed, I voted no. I didn't have confidence that the administration was going to do what they said. I didn't have confidence that the improvements were going to be made. And then 4 years ago, for the first time on an override, I voted yes. And that's because I basically told them I'm a fact person. And 4 years from now, when you come at me with an override again, I'm going to want to know the facts. I'm a fact person. Don't tell me it's technology. Don't tell me it's more teachers. Don't tell me it's the RAM Academy. I want to know facts. I want to know what were the improvements. And when they first came out with this override, those facts weren't there. And I talked to the superintendent, I talked to those that are supporting the override from city council, from those that are supporting the override on the override committee. I'm like, where's my facts? I need facts. What did you use the last 4 years of money to improve, and how did it improve? And lo and behold, all you have to do is ask this time around, and the facts are there. I love that elementary reading levels went up. How good is that, that our elementary students' reading levels have improved significantly year over year since the override passed? And someone asked me, what does more teachers have to do with it? It's because you have more teachers, less overcrowding in the classroom, more attention to the students. Thus, they make better improvements in their reading level. It's easy. I said, what about math? I'm a math person. And my husband laughs at me because you put me in front of something that I can count and I just start counting. I'm a math person, always have been. Math is important. I taught my daughter to be wise in math, and she's now a math teacher. Math levels at the high school have improved. Why? Because we have more teachers. Why? Because they give more attention to those students who need it. And then you talk about RAM Academy. Tell me what RAM Academy did for me. Yeah, we paid for it. Yeah, we had more teachers, but what did it do for me? And if Council Member Manfredi indicated, I was totally impressed, blown out of the water. 69% graduation rate, up to over 80%. We should just applaud the City of Maricopa and the students and the parents and the teachers for that type of magnificent growth. So therefore, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm voting for the override. They've proven that the money has helped our community. They have the facts for me, and I can't deny that. And by the way, there are people out there who talk about Prop 208 and how the school got more money. That did not happen. The state legislation played some games. Schools are getting basically the same money. That did not happen the way voters approved it. And I will tell you and be honest with you, I did not vote to approve it because I don't agree with voter legislation because there's very little control that you can have over it. And if it fails miserably, but it goes on forever. But the fact that the voters approved it makes me mad that legislation basically net zeroed it. And so there is no additional 208 money. It didn't happen. And so I'm approving this because this override is needed to continue that type of growth in MUSD. So please consider that. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
I'm coming at this override vote from a different angle. I see Maricopa as a city that's ripe to get the division of a major corporation or 2 or 3 major divisions in the coming decade. Now, I've worked for major corporations all my life. Honeywell, General Electric, ITT Corp, Microsoft. They have site selection committees that judge cities based heavily on the city's ability to educate their employees' children. They need to hire top people to work for their divisions. And those people want to live in a city that has a super education system where their kids can get educated. Now, if we don't pass this override, we're saying to those site selection committees that we don't support education. Don't come here. I don't want that to happen. Please, vote yes for the override.
Thank you, Councilmember. Anyone else at this time like to approach the podium at this time? No one? Okay. Yeah, you all know I support it too, so I won't take any more of your time. With that, I'll take us to the consent agenda, closing the call to the public. Thank you for your participation at this time. And the consent, council members, can I have a motion to approve items 7.1 through 7.3, please?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Hearing none at this time, that consent agenda passes unanimously. And that'll take us to item 8, which is the regular city council meeting agenda, which is the presentation. This is for the mayor and city council to hear a presentation by Adam Sachs, executive director of the Maricopa Economic Development Alliance. This is for discussion only at this time. Adam, take it away.
Good evening, council. How are you?
Good. You'll take that mic there, Adam.
What's that?
That.
Mike? Here we
There
go.
you go.
Oh, wow. Okay. There we go. Good evening, everybody. Glad to be back. We wanted to come in and share some information that we are covering regarding the actual PIF responses that have been going on since we sort of started this great journey for MEDA. Obviously, we get a lot of project requests between GPEC, the Greater Phoenix Economic Council, the Arizona Commerce Authority, and Pinell County themselves. And we tried to compile everything that had come through over the last fiscal year and then in sort of the last 6 to 8 months in terms of what we responded to. So this first slide, as you see, represents the fiscal activity of 20 and 21. And this is the total prospect activity that was referred to us. In total, 91 projects came to the city from those various partners that I'm referring to. They represented approximately 29,000 jobs with an average wage of about $54,000. What kinds of projects are we seeing come through? 49 of them were light manufacturing, 11 were administrative back office, and 20 were more serious manufacturing type. Next slide. Or am I in charge of it?
Go ahead, Levi.
Council will need a budget for technology next year.
All right, so the next piece of this, we're still looking at what activity was referred to us through basically July 1st
please.
of 20. Was it? July 1st of 20 to June 30 of 21. Of these that were presented, so we looked at what type of space and land requirements were they. 44 of these were existing buildings. 21 of them were build-to-suit projects. 26 had existing space build-to-suits, a little bit of a mix, and 100% of them required, go space-ready sites, so basically shovel-ready type environments. When you look at the size and range of those, we're still looking at that 91 projects. 45 of them, almost half of them, fell into 5 to 100,000 square foot. Once you jumped over 100,000, 14 of them were in that next 100,000 to 250. 10 of them in 250 to 500, and then 22 actually were 500,000 plus. All right, we're gonna, oh, hey, worked. All right. So now we're actually looking at what did MEDA respond to. Now we're looking, if you'd see, March 1st of 21 to June 30 of 21, basically in this first 6 8 months that we've had the office up and running and that we've been doing this. So in that time, we had 33 project proposals go back. They represented about 14,000 jobs for the city at an average wage of 56,000. So you see what we're responding to, we're a little above the overall average that we looked at earlier. What were those projects made up of? 21 of them were light manufacturing, 3 of them were administrative back office, and 9 were more heavy manufacturing industrial projects. Of the 33 we were looking at, kind of broke out differently, that 22 of them needed existing space. We work with our different assets to try to answer that. Build-to-suit, large build-to-suit projects were 6, and then 5 of them were a little bit of a combination. All of them need shovel-ready, go type environments. And again, when you look at them, most of them were in that first range of 5 to 100,000 square feet. And then we had a few larger projects that we did respond to, 4 of them in the 100 to 250, 2 that were 250 to 500, and 4 projects that were over 500,000 square feet. So we are responding to a wide range of projects that need a number of different things, and we're actively developing, new sites, more sites, talking to people, seeing what we have within the city that's going to fit the needs of the various projects that are coming through. So it's kind of a high-level view of everything we've looked at. Happy to, if there are any particular questions about it or thoughts, happy to entertain.
Council, questions for Adam at this time? I would just say, Adam, thank you very much for the report. To the people in the audience, this is one of those things in which you can't talk about, what the projects are, but just so you know, and I love that we put the industries here, because I was just asked yesterday, is there any industry looking at Maricopa? And I kind of just said, I wish I could tell you all of the industry that is looking at us. And we'll talk more about this in the state of the city as well, but it is happening. People are looking at us like crazy, and thanks to MEDA and the economic development departments there and our relationships that we've been building over these last 10 years, these things are now, I don't want to call it manna from heaven, but they are certainly, we have put the work in, and the work is continuing to move forward in partnership with our team and Adam's team. And these things, it's only a matter of time till they do start to land. And so, again, there are others that I wish we could tell you about at this moment. They're not ready for public dissemination, but they are coming. And as they are coming, there are very bright and exciting things on the horizon for the city when it comes to manufacturing and retail and industry of all different types and natures. And so, as you know, the more industry that is here, the better off it is for all those that currently commute up to 347 that no longer have to do that. And so we look to see more and more of that come in the coming weeks, months, and years. And so thank you, Adam. By all means, anything else you have to say? Appreciate it. Thank you for all your work.
Thank you. Well, our greatest asset is our workforce and the citizens of Maricopa. So,
yes, Councilmember Manfredi.
I apologize. I was trying to get attention over there, but my leg wouldn't get off my other leg because I'm tired and I was sitting back, and it was horrible. So, many of you remember Vice Mayor Brown, and he used to sit over there, and he used to sit actually right here, and we used to joke all the time and talk. And he said to me when he was leaving council, right? He said, "Do me a favor, keep an eye on MEDA." And I said, "I will," because him and I were pretty much in pair, where we weren't the biggest MEDA pushers out there. It was like, we're going to keep an eye on it, make sure it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. If you ask Rick, he'll tell you that when he first got here, I said, how do we get rid of MEDA? I actually said that. So I'm happy to tell you that Rick sings glowingly about the job MEDA is doing and about the work you're doing. So I'm happy to support MEDA at this time, because I think that what was missing was a presentation to City Council at times that was real and authentic and showed some of the work that was happening. What was missing is the clarity that we get from conversations with you. So I think you've done a great job with MEDA, and you'll have my support in the next budget cycle. MEDA didn't always have that support, but it will have that support in the next budget cycle, because I see what it's doing. And then I'm going to ask you a question. You don't have to answer it. Are we going to get an Olive Garden? No, it's a joke. No, a question for you. And when you speak to site developers, right, and you speak to people that are hopefully bringing light manufacturing, administrative back office, manufacturing, do they ask you about education in the city of Maricopa at all, or they just never mention it?
I think, as I sort of said right in the transition there, that our greatest asset right now is our educated, diverse workforce. We promote that heavily. The dynamic with the site selectors and the location consultants has really changed, because COVID and the world and things change things, and now companies are less concerned with certain things and more concerned with being somewhere where they know they're going to have an available workforce and an educated available workforce. And we have tremendous data and stats. The numbers from Maricopa speak for themselves. So I definitely would say that that is a part of our conversation. That's a part of the narrative. They're asking more about education and community policies and all sorts of social issues over just the dollars and cents, which are certainly still there.
Thank you. That was my only question. I was just tying it back to some other stuff we discussed earlier.
Thank you, Councilmember Wade.
Yeah, you almost touched on it here just at the end of your conversation, some of these social aspects of that. And I'm curious is what kind of diversity do we show to folks that are looking at us as a place for a work center? What do we show as a community today that shows that we are diverse in our community, diverse in our ideas, diverse in our relationships, that would encourage somebody to come forward?
Well, there are hardcore numbers and stats. There are, metrics that we can use that are out there that measure the diversity of the different cities in Arizona and the population specs, and we can speak to those. But I think a lot of our collateral materials and, Ioana Morfesis and Chris Morfesis and the marketing team takes a really systematic approach to making sure diversity is represented within all of the collateral and the pieces that we're trying to build. We want to portray a city that echoes that sentiment. So as we try to build these things, we're looking for the right images and stories that talk about the assets of the city. But again, we always come back to our workforce and our diversity. So I think between our own efforts of the materials, literally the fabric of this city, we can take the photos and the happenings and the organizations and the communities, and we can show the people that are standing out. And then we also just have the factual data from the state that points to the fact that our population is more diverse and educated.
And I think that I would like to hear more of that on your presentations as well, that exists, and that give me examples of how it does exist. My understanding of demographics here in the city of Maricopa is that the African American population is the largest here in the city of Maricopa per capita than it is in any other city in Arizona. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to hear more of that, and as well as other communities of color, how they stand. So as we're reaching out to folks, I like to hear that we're doing that from that perspective as well.
Had I known, I would have brought it. We just designed a new ad. We have not done an ad in a year or so. It's for Site Selector magazine, and we focused on making sure that those diverse workforce photos are front and center in that piece.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
City Manager Horst.
If I may just add, as I have conversations, when they ask about diversity, it always comes around to what does that mean? And what they're looking for are, is we divided or are we united? And we're happy to report that we're united, and that immediately sparks their interest.
Yeah, and that's good. That's exactly the way I feel. That's the way I'd just like for it to be pushed out there more. And obviously it's being done so.
The cultural core of the city kind of speaks for itself in a lot of the things that we do, and we're able to capture those and promote them.
Any other questions, council, at this time? Okay. Thank you, Adam. We appreciate the report. Folks, that concludes our meeting for this evening. Thank you for your participation. Just by way of information, because of the state of the city, on the 20th, we have canceled the October 19th council meeting. However, there is the possibility we will be calling a special October 12th council meeting, which will be next Tuesday. So please stay aware of that should you wish to attend, but we will let you know as we get closer to that date, and of course push that out in the appropriate time frame. But with that, council, I think we've concluded our business. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please? So moved. Have a motion. Is there a second? Second from Councilmember Learman. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. We'll see you in a week.
Last week, the city of Maricopa